Hello, 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 and welcome to
Hello.
Agenda 47 Explain how it impacts you and your child's education, your rights as parents in your state. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to discuss the impact of Agenda 47 on education. Please share in the chat your name, where you're from, and your role. What brings you here? But most importantly, we want to talk about the ground. There's a 20 focus session, excuse me. And so there's no live Q&A, okay? We'll answer all your questions on our website and on our social media.
Yes. So, who are we? Nashima, you can go first and introduce yourself.
Okay. I'm Harvey, and the founder and CEO of the Little Greenhouse Educational Services, second year scholar, and a girls, which is a youth empowerment. Over 25 years of experience in special education. I'm an advocate for equitable education. I'm a proud mom who also happens to be a former education mom as well. So I'm dedicated to creating inclusive opportunities to help all learn and thrive.
I'm Dr. Graziela Lobato-Creekmur. I'm the founder and CEO of Education Mosaic. I'm a multilingual learner specialist, and I have over 20 years of experience in mostly New Jersey and now in Virginia. I'm very passionate about equity, where every student gets what they need, and I'm a researcher, so I read and discover information for you. Today, we're going to be talking about Agenda 47, and that's President-elect Trump's new policy for when he takes office. And our main focus is the Department of Education and parents' rights. And please take our information down in case we get cut off or we can't make it to the end. There we are. And I am looking for my partner. And there is an issue with my partner. She's not back yet. So I'll just continue. So as she pops back in, we have a lot of key concerns with Agenda 47, but we're only going to focus on these 6. Hi.
I am back, and hopefully that
The
has helped
audio is
our
perfect.
issue.
Let's go ahead with our 6 concerns. Go ahead, Ms. Harvey.
Absolutely. So we want to talk about the cuts in public school education, and it's really important to understand what these cuts, that means there's going to be a lack of resources for public school. So yes, with that cut, there's going to be school choice where you can choose from private schools and charter schools, but there's going to be a lack of funding for the public schools. So for those people who can't afford to go anywhere, you can't travel to different schools, the school that you stay in, that public school you stay in, there's going to be a lack of funding for extracurricular activity. There's going to be a lack of funding for school lunch. And for those people who have children who are special needs, you're talking about a lack of funding for that as well. For the special educators and all those special consultants, that physical therapy and occupational therapy, all those things, there's going to be a lack in that area. And not only in the cuts, but you also have that issue where you have the loss of the Department of Education. And what does that mean? Now, school choice is not a new thing, and it's not a new concept. As a matter of fact, the ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act, allows for more flexibility with the states. So if a state wants to do school choice, they can. The only difference is that today there's oversight of the federal government to ensure that your civil rights are not lost. However, when Agenda 47 talks about this, they're saying we don't want oversight. So then who's checking to make sure that your civil rights are not impacted in a negative way. So this is what's happening. That's a concern with Agenda 47 that you should be aware of. And then lastly, the burden on parents. There's an extra burden. Parents are already overwhelmed. Remember COVID-19? That was a very overwhelming experience. So just understand that the burden of parents to be able to find a school, to make sure that your civil rights are not being abandoned, and then to find out what to do. This more than ever is impacting the way you move. Dr. Lobato-Creekmur.
So from my multilingual learner lens, there's a lot of funding that comes from at the federal level, and the students are affected from Title III and Title I. There's approximately $10,000 per school for the entire ML-ELL department. Where's that money going to go? How will it be reallocated if it is reallocated to the different states? So we don't know what the plan is for that. Classroom practice. So a lot of our students in our communities are viewed differently, but that's a different webinar. And so Agenda 47 talks about critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion. All those things are not acceptable. Anything having to do with anti-racist teaching, culturally responsive teaching, those things would be frowned upon with Agenda 47 and the Department of, well, when he dismantles the Department of Ed. Instead, it would favor the 1776 Commission in Patriotic Education. That can hurt our students in our classrooms. So that's a concern with Agenda 47. And lastly, specifically for multilingual learners, immigration. The talks of mass deportation policies will definitely affect the anxiety levels, the comfort levels, just fear among these families. Now, remember, hold your questions until the end and then send it to us on our Instagram. Go ahead, Ms. Harvey.
Absolutely. So what the Department of Education provides. Now, you might say, I don't know what it provides. I never knew what it provided. It doesn't do anything for me. Actually, it does. So it provides funding for schools. It supports programs like free lunch, right? Special education, hello, us, and extra help for low-income families and schools. It really does help with funding. It also helps with funding for colleges. It provides equal access so that students have rights through laws like the Title IX and IDEA for students with disabilities. This is very important. And lastly, if you're going to college, right? If you're going to college, it's that FAFSA. It's that Pell Grant. Hello, I had a Pell Grant. How about you, Dr. Lobato-Grace?
I definitely had a Pell Grant.
Right. So it's really beneficial. Take a moment and take a screenshot of this because you're seeing with what exactly the Department of Education does, because all of that is going to look a lot different later on. A lot different. And all those responsibilities, either some will go to other places, but your state, as far as education is concerned, is going to be your go-to.
So you see this long list? What would happen if the Department of Ed is eliminated? Unequal standards, fewer resources, less accountability, reduced support for disabilities, unsafe schools, lost opportunities. Now you can read what it says on the slide. You could take a screenshot, but just that list is very hefty. And there's a lot of special ed things getting violated or dismantled or cut off. We don't know what it's going to look like. Safety in our schools, extra programs, AP classes, STEM programs. So a lot of things would be left in the air or eliminated or unknown. That's a huge problem.
So let's do a little case study, and we're going to look at Louisiana. Louisiana relies a lot, and I mean a lot, with federal help. They need federal help. And now we're saying that federal help is going to go away, and 14% of Louisiana's education budget is coming from the federal government, okay? That is a lot. Louisiana ranks 46 in education spending per student, okay? So they're allocating around $12,300 per year. Now, the national average is $15,200. Without federal programming, what do you think will happen to those low-income schools in Louisiana? Okay, what about that special education? What about civil rights?
On the flip side, when we look at Massachusetts, they only rely on 8% of federal funding, and they spend about $19,000 per student. And that's because economic advantages, the household income, the median household income is $86,000, and this is the number one state out of the 50 in education quality. So what we're going to tell you in the next couple of slides is, if it falls to the states, if you're in a poor state, there will be drastic changes.
So what are these differences telling us? What are they telling us? Federal money levels the playing field. So states like Louisiana, who depend on the federal funds, can have a fighting chance. They need that. But with Agenda 47, we're saying that we're going to cut these federal funds, and it's going to hurt poor states. We don't want that. They will struggle for just the basic services. And federal support promotes fairness. Okay, it promotes fairness, and we need that. Why do we need that? We need these programs to give them a fighting chance in this world that we live in. If we want to make a difference, we have to have that balance. So we want to think about that. We really want to think about that.
And we're helping you realize that the inequalities still exist, and this is how we obtain equity for all the states. So what are the top 3 things you should pay attention to? Schools will have less money, free lunch, special education, supplies might have to come out of your pocket. Like we keep saying, unequal education. Wealthy areas will have stronger schools, but poor areas might struggle. Parents in low-income communities may face fewer choices and lower qualities. And parents, it's up to us. Without federal rules, parents will need to push state leaders to protect their kids, and local leaders as well, as you'll see on the next slide.
So the top 3 things you can do today. What are the takeaways on that? Well, get involved with your local PTA and the national PTA, okay? Because you might say, well, we don't have a PTA. That's okay. Join nationally because it makes a difference. You want to be informed. They're going to inform you, okay? Go to the school board meetings. Stay involved. You have to start now. If you've never done it before, start now. What else do you want to do? You can go online. You go to Rights Law. It's a special education advocacy group. So if you have a child who's involved in special education, that is definitely a website that's going to get your life all together, right? And you'll know the laws, and they stay on top of it all. And then lastly, you want to build a support network. You want to make sure that you are familiar with your state's Department of Education, because if this goes through, then your state will be in charge at 100%, and you want to hold them to task, right? You want to find out all the school policies, what are the programs and the resources specific to your state. This is very important. So you want to search for your state's Department of Education on www.ed.gov. Now, do me a favor. Take a screenshot of this. I don't want to hear about this tomorrow that you didn't remember, okay?
This is your resource page.
This is definitely your resource page.
So one more thing I want to say about PTA and your local school board. There's always a hot button issue, and you always see on the news how the meetings went for 4 hours, 6 hours, and you see a long line of 20, 30 people all lined up, scheduled to speak because you have to let them know ahead of time, or you wait till the end to get your turn to speak. Let's be those parents. Let's be those parents.
Absolutely.
And here we are. You have all our information on these slides, website, email, Instagram.
Take a screenshot.
Contact us. We will answer anything and everything when you contact us. So we are passionate about this as educators, as parents, as advocates. So, and yes, I'm going to stop right there because we could go on all night.
Well, I just do want to say that this is not the only thing that's going on with Agenda 47
Correct.
As far as education. And we're only speaking about education. There's so much more besides education. But with the education, there's so much more. So there's no Department of Ed. It's their pro-patriotic education. There's a university or an academy called the American Academy, and they're certifying teachers, I think for free, on this new kind of teacher that's going to be teaching in schools. There's merit pay over tenured teachers happening. There's expanding school choice, restricting certain content, that CRT, critical race theory, and your more increased rights to parents. But what exactly does that mean? Having more rights, because that just means more work. That means you have to have more due diligence, and you essentially become the Department of Education for yourself. So you have to understand that, and then follow the money. Where does the money go? Where's the money? Where's the money?
There's a lot of talk of parent choice, which means they are using public funds for private, public, homeschooling. So it turns into where you put your child, that's where the federal money, well, the state money will go. So there's a fragility there. It's a very delicate area when you talk about parent choice and removing them from the public school and making your choice to go to private school and whatnot. So that's something else you want to consider.
Absolutely. Think about your community. When you leave your community, that money leaves with you. So remember that if you're still living there. Remember that there are people who will still be in the public school systems. And how will you make sure that your states are doing the right thing by those students who choose to stay? Because just because your child goes away and you still live in the community, it doesn't mean that it's going to now be the better thing because your child is away. It means that you still have a low education, not enough teachers, lack of funding. And with all of that, we all know crime is not far behind. So we have to think about the choices we make. I'm not telling you what to do. Are you telling them what to do? I'm not telling you what
We
to do.
never do that. We just give information.
We're just giving information. And so on that note, follow us on Instagram and Facebook, contact us on our website, email us, and just know that we are here to support you. You are not alone. So if you're confused about anything, reach out. We are here to help you.
All the time. And we may not do it right away, but within 24 hours or so, we will. Now, if anyone's watching this as a recording, I did get a message here saying the person tried to get in, but the ticket didn't include the link. So if anyone had technical difficulties and you're watching this as a recording after the fact, please just know that you will get a record. You know, you're watching it as a recording, so obviously you got it. But we will fix any glitches or anything for our next one, because there will be a next one. There was a lot more information to give you. But again, contact us through all these methods, and we will definitely answer your question. We're here for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And I can't wait to do this again.
Nashima, Harvey, Little Greenhouse Educational Services.
Graziela, Lobato-Creekmur, Education Mosaic. Have a great one.
Bye.